What's up, sis? This your girl, Coach NaQuandra at the Purpose Place, and I am.
And taking us to Sunday school and vacation Bible school, I would be amen to this day.
What's up, all my good people? Welcome to the Women Alike podcast, where we get into the realness of what it's like to live as a woman of God. I am your coach, your sis, your strategist, NaQuandra, and I am excited to be talking to you on today, tonight, this afternoon, this evening, this morning, whenever it is that you are listening to this. And I hope that I find you well in this moment, and that if you are not well, I pray that what we discuss tonight, what I share in this moment, not tonight, but in this moment, uplifts you in your spirit. And so I just want to talk about what's been going on with me in my life these past couple weeks. I feel a little rattled. I feel unsettled because I'm a person who needs structure and I need organization. And when things get off track, then I get off track mentally and spiritually. And a lot of times that has to do with the weather changes or like unexpected things that happen in the week and with what I need. And so I'm very keen or intentional on making sure I have a routine for myself. And when that routine gets disrupted, I get disrupted. And so I'm in the midst of getting myself back in routine. And not because I believe that my works is going to get me into heaven or give me a special place with God, but it's just because that's what I need for my mental being, my mental capacity. And so it's good to know these things about yourself, because if you don't know, any and every little thing will rattle and shake you and get you off of track. And also, I am getting over a cold. I'm a pre-K teacher, as you know, and so a lot of my students were sick this week. Like, I mean, half of the class out with the flu or just cold symptoms or flu-like symptoms. And so a lot of germs and cootie bugs was flying around the classroom, and it got me. And so you may hear me cough a little bit in this episode, but it's not going to stop me from sharing what I need to share on this in this moment. But yes, so all these things are happening, and I'm also, and I hope what I'm sharing is resonating with you, because that's my hopes, that everything that I'm sharing, that it uplifts you, and helps you look at your life in a different perspective, and knowing that you're not alone in some of these things. But even still, with me getting sick, it was hard for me to just take a day and just rest and do nothing, which is what I did Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. I just took that day and I just watched movies. I had to watch my nephews, but we just watched movies. I took medicine on the hour. Every 4 hours, I was dosing up something because I wanted to get better. But in those moments, it was hard for me to just sit still and do nothing. And that is so, it's, some people look at it and they're admirable of like the work ethic. Like, people tell me, I don't know how you do that. You do this, you run here and do this, but it's not good for your mental and your peace to not be able to just sit and give yourself a break. And so that's one thing that I war with constantly, is giving myself a break, especially when needed. And so learning to put that into my routine, to have like these moments of just peace and solace of doing nothing, especially at least once a week, doing that if I can't do it throughout the week. And so I encourage you to do the same, to create your routine, and in that routine have space for just you to relax and do nothing. And don't beat yourself up about taking a break and doing nothing, because it's needed and you deserve it. It's necessary, right? And so I hope that resonates. And also, I go through life and I oftentimes feel like I get to this space in my life where I'm at like a wall. And I'm sharing this because I know that we are set free by the word of our testimony. And so some of these things that I'm experiencing currently, I'm praying to God that it uplifts some of you as well, knowing that you're not alone, and then me sharing what I'm doing to overcome these things. You apply them and you also begin to or continue to move forward in this moment in your life, right? And so I feel like I'm in like this position where I keep hitting this same wall, and I don't even know what the wall is. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it's called, but I know last week I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I'm here at this wall again. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it keeps coming from. I don't know, Lord, but I'm going through it. Like I'm not finna take a U-turn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not finna get discouraged. I'm not finna get depressed. I'm just gonna feel the feels and do the do's and push through, because I have to break through this wall or whatever it is. I just feel like it's this cycle. Um, and I don't know how to explain it, but what I'm doing to push through is to stay on my routine, make changes in my schedule where I need to make changes intently, have that self talk with myself like, girl, you are doing what you're supposed to do. You're in the right space. This is where those receipts come into play. Me and Johnny were talking about having receipts when I had my discussion, my conversation with her on our Problems Provoke Power episode, where she talked about she journals and she writes down her prayers so that when she's feeling like she's not making progress, she can go back to her prayer journal and see, hey, I have been working on this God has been answering my prayers in this and that category. And so that's where that's coming into play in my life right now, is those receipts are what's helping me press forward and push through, beating this wall down, because I'm determined to achieve breakthrough here in this moment in my life. And so I encourage you, I hope that encourages you to press forward, review those receipts, because we know Satan is a liar and he will try to make us think and believe these absurd lies about ourselves. But I'm here to tell you that God has proclaiming you to be more than a conqueror, and that his plans for us is not to prosper us, not to harm us, but to prosper us. And that if we keep our minds stay focused on him, that he will keep us in perfect peace. That is another thing. We need to focus on having intimacy with God and studying his word, and not studying it just so we can have head knowledge, but so that we can get to know him and who he is and who he has called us to be, and get an understanding of the position that he has placed us in life. I remember when I first got saved, I first gave my life to God, and I was so intent in the word and just diving in it, just so on fire. And I'm just like, I got to get back to that place where I indulge in studying and reading his word, not so that I can say I know this, and that. Although it's good to be theologically sound. That is one of my goals, is to be theologically sound, to get over my emotions of being tired in the morning, or having so many responsibilities, and then also making time to study the word. But it's good to be theologically sound, but it's even better to know God on a close and intimate level. So getting that relationship with him, his closeness, intimacy, is key to getting that fire, turning that fire back on that I once had for God. And so that's a goal, that is a focus. And then when we study, let's make sure we're studying with intention, not just blindly, okay, let me open the book and let me put my finger across here, and wherever my finger lands, that's what I'm going to read for the day. Because I know people who done that, and I used to do that before I would open the Bible, and whatever opened up, I would read that little snippet and then get it from the table and leave. And I don't know where I got that from. I don't know what I thought I was going to achieve by doing that. but it's something that people do, and we need to make sure that we're studying intently because God is strategic. He is purposeful, and so we need to be strategic and purposeful in our lives, and especially in getting close and getting to know Him and who He is, right? And so go back to the things that once that go back to the place where you first started with God. If you're feeling like your fire has gone out, or you're not as passionate, or as not even as passionate, but you haven't been making that time, or you haven't been studying like you used to, or praying like you used to, or fasting like you used to. Go back to the place where you first found Christ, where you first got to know God. Go back to that place, and that will and definitely light your fire up. That place for me was in worship. That place for me was in worship. I could be in, and it started as a child. Let me take y'all back. It started as a child, where I would get upset at home, and as a teenager get upset with my mom or whatever, my boyfriend, friends, whatever, and I would just go in the music room and blast music. And of course, at this time as a teenager, it was secular music, Sierra, Beyonce, um, who else I used to listen to? Missy Elliott, Cheetah Girls, it was teenage stuff, listening to that. But I would go in my room and just blast the music on. And something about the music and just dancing and singing would just alleviate so much stress. And so when I got to know God, I began to listen to worship music. And so when I listen to worship music, first of all, I'm not one to just listen to the music and just dance because the beat sound good, or sing because the lyrics flow. I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm listening to what they're professing out of their mouth, and those lyrics register with me in my heart. And so when I sing worship songs, I'm not singing them just for fun. I'm singing them because I actually believe what is coming out of my mouth. And so my place of fire, my place of worship is my place of worship is in the music. So I've been getting back into just listening and soaking in worship music, because that's where I find closeness with God. Also, when I fast, I find closeness with God. And when I'm praying for other women, I find closeness with God. Be able to answer that question: where is it that you find closeness with God? Where do you feel most connected with Him? What are you doing? What's happening in your life? That's one of the questions in my intentional journal, 30 Days with God, is what are you doing, or when do you feel most close with God? And my answer for that is always, well, my original answer a year ago was when I fast. But now I've recently been able to add to that, as I'm growing spiritually, is when I fast and when I'm praying for other people, I feel close to God. And now I add, when I think of back to my original place where my fire first begun is in worship, right? So be able to answer that question of where is it that, or what are you doing, or when do you feel most close to God? Because that is the thing you need to get into. And we have to be so intentional to create a routine in that thing, because our flesh is not going to like it. Like every time we pray, it's not a coincidence that you get sleepy. Every time you study, it's not a coincidence that you get sleepy. Your flesh doesn't like it. And so you have to train up your flesh, just like you have to train up a child to cultivate in these things, so that you can start manifesting this heart for God, right? This heart to study, this heart, this desire to pray, this desire to read and to fast. That's how we get there. But we have to go back to that place where it once started, where our fire was lit up, and cultivate in that space. And it's also key that we connect with like-minded women, connecting with women who are in the purpose place, connecting with people who are in your local church, seeking out community online. If you aren't, if you don't have any place that you feel that you can really connect to, and I wish this was live right now, but it is what it is. You Find you a place that you can connect with other women or other men who are also serving God, because there is spiritual acceleration in that thing. God says, when two or more gathered in my name, there I am in the presence. And I believe that because I've seen it. I have an accountability group that me and my friend Allison started, who was in the Saved and Single episode. But in that group, we've seen so much growth between all of the women in the group, and we have found this closeness in God, in one another, from being connected and holding each other accountable to the goals and the vision that we have for our lives. And so I encourage you to get some accountability. And if you have accountability, continue to stay connected and glean on to that thing, right? Right. And so for my sisters who are coming out of the world and stepping into the kingdom, definitely find you someone who is going to hold you accountable, who is not going to put you in spaces that are tempting, who are not going to egg you on to go back to the old thing, because God said he created a new thing in you, and it's now up to you to start operating in that thing. Because the Lord says, Jesus says, behold, I stand and I knock at the door. And he's waiting for you to open the door. He's not going to barge in. So it's up for you with your free will, with your liberty, to work in that new thing that God has created in you. Amen. And so at the Purpose Place, we have the Broken to Blessed Mentorship starting in January 2023. And so that's going to be where we spend 4 weeks as a group, as a community, as a sisterhood, cultivating, learning how to operate in this new thing. And when I say operate, I mean really operate as a system, because there's already systems in this world working against us. And so we got to learn how to operate in a system that works for the good of the Lord under his principle. And so we'll spend 4 weeks together cultivating that. We're going to have a prayer workshop. We're going to have Q&As from other women with heavy testimonies, where they share what they did and how they overcame the world and are now walking in the newness that God has created them to be. And it's important for you to get connected to this type of mentorship, because it is lonely out here in these holy streets. It is lonely out here in these holy streets. Like, I only wish that when I decided to give myself to God, that I had a solid community who was serving God, to be connected to help me stay on a forward moving path and not backslide as much as I did, and not get hooked up in relationships that were only going to cause me to compromise my faith in my relationship with God. You know, if only I had that, I would have jumped over so many hurdles and overcame so many obstacles if I had that accountability, if I had that connection with other women. And I would not have beat myself up so much about missing the mark sometimes, you know. And so it's good for us to be connected. And so I encourage you, if you are a woman new to the faith, serving God, living a life that is pleasing unto God, and you're ready to cultivate in this new thing that God has for you, I encourage you to register for the Broken to Blessed Mentorship, so that we can work together, so that I can be your support, and the other sisters who join will also be your support in your transition to that, because it's so important. And it is that deep it is that deep to take it to the point where you invest in joining a mentorship, because it's that serious, because we got to serve God like nothing else matters, because nothing else matters. I hope that's making sense. We got to serve God like nothing else matters, because nothing else literally matters. when we leave here, we're accountable for us. I'm accountable for me. You're accountable for you, not for your mama, not for what your daddy did, not for what your cousin is doing and what your sister's thinking about doing. You're going to be held accountable for you. And so it is that deep for us to invest in ourselves in mentorships, in life coaches, or investing our time into serving at church, serving our brothers and sisters. Our lives are not, your life is not your own. My life is not my own. My life is meant to do what I'm doing right now, which is to serve you. And so I open up the purpose place unto you to come into the mentorship, to get one-on-one coaching, to enroll in free courses, to come to different workshops, to come in fellowship in the Geneva app at the Purpose Place, to reach out to me anytime you need, to send your prayer request. I open myself up for that. And also for people that I see me in real life, not even real life. I mean, all of this is real life. All of this is real life, but you know what I'm saying? Like face to face, the people that I meet face to face, the same thing. I offer the same thing unto them. And so we got to know that our lives are not meant for our own, but our lives is to serve others, to serve our brothers and sisters. And so how dare I not open up the purpose place for you? I did not open up the purpose place by my own strength. It wasn't, because this is something that I was very fearful to do. This certificate you see in the back was something I was very fearful or timid or unsure of doing, right? But when God puts you in a position to get something done, get it done and go do it. Don't wait. Don't sleep on it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And so that invitation is for you. Join the mentorship at the Purpose Place. Become a partner at the Purpose Place. You can just go and click partner and you'll receive emails. I'll send you an invitation to join our Home on Geneva app where we can communicate daily. In the future, as things shift, I will have in-person things where we can meet up and whatever. But yeah, let's just continue to move forward and push past this brick wall and break up these disruptive cycles and just declare and just make headway to keep moving forward in the purpose and the plan that God has for us. Your purpose is not a one-stop destination. Your purpose is a journey. Your purpose is not like you driving with the GPS and you have your destination in mind and you're going to this one spot. Your purpose is the whole ride there until God calls you home. So I encourage you to live in purpose, to walk in purpose, to do everything intentionally and in purpose. Amen. And so, sis, I pray this message bless you. This moment, I pray this moment bless you, and that has encouraged you to push forward and have those receipts in your life with what you're doing, your journal, your prayer book, your planner, whatever you use. Keep your receipts, sticky notes. I got plenty of sticky notes everywhere. But those are your receipts because Satan is a liar. He is a liar. And if anything resonated with you about the Broken to Blessed mentorship, you need to go ahead and register. Don't wait. Don't contemplate on it too much. It's only $25. And that is just to cover the people that I have coming to pour into us, to equip us and teach us about prayer and doing their Q&As and sharing their wisdom. It's only $25. Come on now. Get into the room if that's what you need. And when you get in the room, make sure you leave with everything that you expected to receive, right? Come into the room and get what you need, right? Because cultivation takes work. We can't just come into a place and sit and listen and think that we're going to absorb everything. If you have questions that pop up, ask them. If you have needs, get them fulfilled if they can be fulfilled in whatever room that you're in. But as you come into the purpose place, I want to make sure you get everything that you came for. And if I cannot supply it, I will find the resources that can supply the need for you, right? So sis, go forth and be blessed in this day. And I pray that God continues to bless you and keep you in all of your ways and that he breathes on you continuously. Thank God for new life, and I thank God for the breath in your body, in your life. Glory be unto God. Y'all, if you can't tell, I am like barely talking right now because if I overexert, I'm going to start coughing more than I am. And so that's it. I pray this message bless you. Have a good night, evening, day, morning, whatever time of the day you're watching this.